let's go to the AFC South. AFC South here. All right, so this one is going to be interesting. I think this is like the weakest, if not one of the weakest divisions in football on the AFC side, right? So AFC, obviously the NFC is weak in a few different areas, but let me take a look here at the just overall. We got the Indianapolis Colts at 10 here. 10, we'll start out there. Indianapolis Colts. I have the over in this one. Over for Indianapolis Colts. Now, they've got a nice defense. They've got a running back that is one of the best in the league. They got some weapons. They got Matty Ice back there, right? And I've always kind of questioned Matty Ice, right? I've always been kind of like, on the fence with how I feel about the Indianapolis Colts bringing in a guy that I've like always struggled with. But I do think that the Indianapolis Colts, with the offensive line, giving him some time, being able to play in a dome as well. He's comfortable playing in the dome. I think,
just to be clear, who is not comfortable playing in a dome?
I mean,
Chris?
most people are, but I'm just saying.
I think everyone's pretty comfortable playing indoors without elements. Just to be clear.
I mean, true. I mean, it's fine, right?
Okay.
So I think the addition of Stephon Gilmore also helps. Already stout defense too. Overall, I do think that this Indianapolis Colts team, if anything, I say at the worst case scenario, they push at 10. But
worst case, they go 10-7. Okay.
I think they're a team that can easily get to 11 based off of, they're probably going to sweep the Texans. They're probably going to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars twice. I think they at least split, if not sweep the Tennessee Titans. I think maybe they split the Tennessee Titans. I think they route this division. I think that they get to at least 11 wins. I think they can get there. But I mean, honestly, is it weird that I like the push? Can we select push?
I mean, I liked it with, I think the Bengals at 10 as well. But no, you can't select push, Chris. This is an over-under situation. Colts for me, everyone's dumping on the over. Everyone's in love with the Indianapolis Colts. I get it. Here's a weird phenomenon though, Chris. I don't think people were super high on Matt Ryan the last couple of years. Now he goes to the Colts. And now all of a sudden the Washington has a better quarterback perception wise with Wentz than they've ever had, who just left Indy after 1 year, and the Colts are going to be much better. I think their running game is going to have to carry them. I know they have nice offensive line. The defense is a little overrated, and their best player is changing his name and not practicing, and it's weird. I don't like it. I don't like this team. There's so many people that are in love with the Indianapolis Colts this offseason. I don't get it. I think Matt Ryan, I respect Matt Ryan, and I think he is an upgraded at quarterback over Carson Wentz in my mind. But to what extent? I don't see them getting to 11 wins. I really don't. I do not see Indy touching 11 wins. So they could push. You're right. They could push. But I can't see them getting to 11, so I'm taking the under.
Yeah.
And I'll be right back as I do a code yellow, Chris.
Come on, man. I just... people hate on Matt Ryan, and I've always been a critic of Matt Ryan. I will say I've always kind of spam code yellow in the chat, by the way. And like, again, I think that honestly, I mean, I have to pick over or under at 10. Even numbers kind of suck when it comes to some of these picks, because I'm like, I would love that. I mean, at 9.5, currently this is at 9.5 on FanDuel. I would take the over at 9.5, knowing they could get to 10, get to double digits. But 10 to 11 is tough, knowing the 10 is at push. I would love the push on this one. If I could bet one push, it would be this one. I think they can maybe just win 10 exactly. But if I have to pick one, I lean over. I think the rest of the teams in this division are not very good as much as the Colts have improved, but that's just me. So, that's just how I'm going to just lean is the over. I don't love it, but that's where I'm at. What else do we have here? Not the answer, but definitely an answer, says casually. I like Matt Ryan this year with the running back behind him, says Chairman. Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think he's going to make less mistakes than Carson Wentz. I think he's going to, carry this team a little bit better than Carson Wentz, but it's tough. So, Scotty, what do you got next? Where do you want to go?
I will say about Matt Ryan, because I heard you talking about it as I left. People don't realize he literally, you could literally argue that Matt Ryan is leaving the worst offensive line in the league for the best. And either way, it's 100% bottom 5 offensive line versus top offensive line and top 5 offensive line. And when you're talking Matt Ryan, who's not someone that's going to create outside the pocket or run or anything like that, never has, never will, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Getting him a little more time and a little more comfort. Matt Ryan has always been elite at moving it between the 20s. Where he has struggled historically with Atlanta is in the red zone.
Red zone.
It's so bad in the red zone with Arizona most years. So I said under on Indianapolis. At the same time, I think Matt Ryan is an upgrade. 100%. I don't think it's close between Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan. Okay. I just think the Colts roster is a little overrated. Everyone's hyping this roster, and I'm just like, tell me all these amazing pieces they have, because I just don't see it. Yeah. Anyway, Jacksonville.
Jacksonville? Oh, let's go Jacksonville. Go ahead.
I mean, that's the next on the list, right?
Yep.
Did we do, or that's no? We touched the Colts first, didn't we? We haven't done Texans yet.
No, we haven't done Texans. We started out with the Colts. I mean, obviously they were the favorite to win this division, so just start out with the Colts.
Let's go Jacksonville. Part of me wants to instantly upgrade Jacksonville based off of not having Urban Meyer as their coach.
I mean, that's an instant upgrade, right? I
mean, it's definitely an upgrade. Does that get them to 7 wins? Nah, not for me.
Real Soul is like, I guarantee you the Jags win at least 7. Guarantee
they win 7. I'm more concerned with the Jags defense than I am their offense. Outside of like Josh Allen, by the way, not the quarterback of the Bills. Outside of Josh Allen, tell me a Jags defensive player that's like a difference maker. Which is ironic because a couple years ago, literally like 3-4 years ago, they had like the top defense in the AFC. They made an AFC championship game, weirdly. They had an elite defense, but it's fallen apart. And now I just don't trust that defense. And the offense is not good enough yet to take over. You pay a ton of money to Christian Kirk. Trevor Lawrence, I think, was overrated coming in and now is kind of proven to just be like, I think he could be all right. I just don't think he's there yet. The running game, I actually love Etienne. I don't know if I love him as a running back. I like him a lot more as a pass catcher out of the backfield. If you can get Etienne in space, he's elite of the elite. It's just a matter of getting him in that space, which was easy to do at Clemson. Sorry, in college. Whether he can do that and find that now, we'll see. The offensive line's pretty solid, though.
I mean, they did have one of the worst offensive lines last season.
I think the offense will be better than their defense. I think their defense is kind of trash. Not kind of trash. The defense is going to be trash, and that's the real problem. Everyone wants to blame. Everyone looks at their offense and like, oh, they're not going to get it done, like because of their offense. No, tell me, Real Soul, who is getting after on defense that's just like a difference maker outside of Josh Allen?
Defensively, they allowed the 5th most points in the league while maintaining the worst takeaway rate. Like, I mean, that's
It's not good.
it's not good. So, I think the offensive line, I mean, so they had one of the worst offensive line last season. Their best offensive lineman, center Brandon Linder, retired, so he's gone. I think they'll be average on offensive line. I think they'll be not so great on defense. I have the under as well. I think if they can get to like 4 wins, 5 wins, I mean, that might be kind of like the middle of the road for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that they're still building. I love ETN coming back. I love Trevor Lawrence coming back with a new team. Or with a new coach, I should say. So from that standpoint, I mean, if they can get to 4 or 5 wins, that's a good season for the Jacksonville Jaguars, in my opinion. But Rebel says, I love the combo of QB and running back with those guys. Combined with the O-line, they will score points. Gonna say that the division there, and you take a look at most of their,
and then they literally had the number 1 pick, and they blew it, Chris. It's early for me to say it, but Javon Walker was not the dude to take at 1. They literally took a guy out of Georgia that wasn't playing the position they're now asking him to play. And yes, his athletic traits are off the charts. There's more than just athletic traits, Chris. You have to have like innate skill and ability to like get off blocks and things like that. And I don't think he'll ever have that. I think Javon Walker was an epically bad first round pick. I'll hold to that for a long time. I think that was an awful pick by the Jags, which will speak to the fact, like, can he help in the run? He'll be phenomenal in the run game. He'll be phenomenal in the run game. But I don't think, Chris, and correct me if I'm wrong, you take a player number 1 overall in the draft to help out in your run defense.
I mean,
Chris he's not even listening.
No, I'm listening.
I'm just kidding. No, like, I mean, I just think it's an awful pick. I didn't like the Walker pick at the time. I appreciate that you're taking an athlete, but this is an athlete that literally didn't do what you're going to ask him to do now. And there's a reason they didn't ask him to do it, right? Because if he was better than anyone else in the world at doing what you're asking him to do, they would have asked you to do him. He would have been doing it in college if he was that good at it. He's just not. He's not that dude.
Yeah. It's I struggle a little bit. What do we got in the chat here? I gave them under 6, but we will see, says G Girl. You can't push at a half mark, says Reckoning.
It's hard to do.
It's
definitely hard to do.
Split into Houston. You're not wrong about that, says Soul. Okay, I'll take the 6.5 push. Yeah. Jesus, you guys come on breakout season for Lawrence. I do have the Colts at 10 also. Spot on, says G Girl. Okay, nice. All right, I love it. Let's hit Houston. Houston, we have 4.5 here.
4.5. That's an itty bitty number. That's a small number, Chris.
It's a small number, and Houston is like, Houston 4.5. That's such a tight number. I think that's priced exactly right for the market. Like, I think that like that's where they're gonna be ish. So like this is a 50-50 coin flip for me. And
where are you going?
So I've gone over on the Colts, under on the Jags. Tennessee Titans we'll get to in a minute. Gosh, 5 wins for the... I don't see the Texans getting there, man. I don't. I like the quarterback a lot down there in Houston. I think that there's potential there. Still young. I just don't love the pieces around what they have going in Houston. The offensive, the defensive side of the ball. I think the Texans... It's so hard because I think they win somewhere between 4 and 5 games. And like this is priced at just the right spot. So Davis Mills will win some games for them. I just don't love the pieces around them to feel good about betting the over on this one. I go under. Maybe they win 4 games.
You rank this as likely the worst division in the AFC, right?
Yeah.
And you're taking the under on 4.5 with the team. I'm taking the over here. Listen, I like Davis Mills to the extent, like to a certain extent, but I think he can win games. He won the same amount of games as Deshaun Watson did the season prior with a similar roster. I think Davis Mills is getting into his sophomore year. I think he's going to be pretty good. I actually love the over on 4.5 on Houston.
That long neck.
People
baby.
are going to hate in Houston.
That long neck.
Long ass neck. Just insert that into your brain and we're going to be good. He's got some ability that I didn't think he had. I'm not saying Davis Mills should be the long-term answer in Houston. Like, you shouldn't want that. But can he get you to 5 wins? I think so. I'm taking the over.
I mean, honestly, like I said, I think it's going to be priced right around 4 or 5. They're going to be in that range. I think it's a spot on total for them right now. All right, so then that leaves us with one more. Is that the Tennessee Titans, Scotty? Tennessee Titans
it is.
At 9 wins. Go ahead. I'll let you kick us off on this one, and let's dive into Tennessee.
This one's weird for me. Tennessee's down at 9 after being the number 1 overall seed entering the postseason last year in the AFC. They were number 1. What's changed from the roster? Not that much.
No.
In fact, last year they finished number 1 and they didn't have Derrick Henry for what was that? 7 weeks of the season. They could likely have him for a lot more than that. Are the Titans good though, Chris? Are the Titans actually good? Because outside of the weird run they made to make the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, I'm not sure they are. They don't scare people. 9. This one's the hardest one I've had to pick so far, Chris.
Okay. I like it.
But I will assume it's going to be a push and go under. I'm going to go under. I mean, there's just the wide receiver play. Derrick Henry's finally getting the stage of his career where it's like, is he still that dominant athlete as he's getting up in age? I wonder about that. Tannehill's not going to carry a squad. I love their coaching staff. I really do. I think that carries them. And defensively, I like their front 4. Secondary's fine. I don't know. I literally, if you could ask me 30 minutes later, I might take the over. But I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the under, Chris, on Tennessee at 9.
I was leaning under for my pick on this one. Only because I don't think they can replicate what they did last year. I think running the ball can only get you so far. You already traded away AJ Brown, right? Elite receiver. You love AJ, right? Went to Philly. So I think that with their departure on that front, I just think like running the ball is so archaic. Like it's not something, I mean, to keep up with the teams in the AFC West, you're going to have to throw the ball, which takes Derrick Henry kind of out of the game. If you're behind in some of these games, I know they're well coached and everything. I just think that the times catch up with Tennessee in this one. I'm with you. It's really close on where this team could go. I think that I think there's an opportunity, but I struggle to see Tennessee. They'll win a couple games against Jacksonville or maybe Houston, right? I just don't see them in the grand scheme of the AFC competing with the game plan that they have in place. They're the San Antonio Spurs trying to compete with the Golden State Warriors, I feel, at some points. And you know, they still are holding on to Tim Duncan, their running game. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. You got teams like Miami and all these other teams going all wide receiver and being able to throw the ball. It's a quarterback league. You need a quarterback too. They got a young quarterback in the wing. That could be a distraction at some point. So I'm going to go under in this one. Money Magic, welcome in. They always find a way to win games because of the coaching staff. They won more with less.
Love Vrabel.
Yeah,
love Vrabel.
I love their coaching staff. I do. I think
I think he's probably overrated among fans based off of how people feel about him in the league necessarily, but he's won a lot of games, done a really good job with a team that's, I think most would agree, is pretty flawed at a position that's pretty important.
Devil Dog says Woods can't carry the wide receiver core. Okay, like it. Chairman of the board, Houston and Jacksonville should be 4 wins right there, but then again, should have been last year in week 18. Yep. I think Tennessee gets a winning record, so over. Okay, says Rec. Yeah, I'll take the over on this division.
What do you mean by over on the division?
So just over the total number of wins. So he's saying pretty much overall, generally.
Don't do the over on all 4 teams because you will be.
I think that might be a rough
just
bet.
To be clear, it's not even ultimately close. Maybe this is the obvious bet to make, but there's also there's odds with it. But the under hits historically on win totals like at a higher percentage by a good amount than the over, Chris, because the over is like a fan base wanting to believe in their team.
It's the wishful thinking.
Yep. Everyone's happy. Everyone's ready to go. Our team is going to win way more than that awful number you proposed. And then guess what? They don't.
Yeah.